Hi, welcome to the Global Digital Identity track of the Blockchaingers Hackathon preparation session at the Ministry of Interior and Kingdom Relations, which is, of course, hosted by the Ministry. The State Secretary has lauded this initiative, and now we are sitting here with one of his civil servants, more specifically a specialist being a policy advisor on digital government. Anton van Weel.
Okay,
welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you have been working on digital government for a couple of decades now. And in one of your previous roles, you claimed that citizens should be put more into control and government should be on a diet.
Yes.
Could you explain that?
Yes, I can explain that. Society has become much more digitized and therefore or also more based on data. And typically that has been originated either from government or by big corporations. But as society is becoming more datafied, also control of data means also autonomy.
For citizens?
Also for citizens. And if government and corporations take all the data, we take away the sovereignty of our citizens. And that becomes a societal problem. That's on the side of citizens, but also on the side of government. The more data we collect from those citizens, the more responsibility we take to us to deal in a proper way with the data, but also the responsibility for that sovereignty that we took away from our citizens. And that is something that we gradually evolved to in the last couple of decades for good reasons, but it's time to think anew about that and to really put this balance back in the way it should be. The autonomy should be for citizens.
So you must be pleased that there's blockchain.
I'm pleased. I'm also a bit scared, to be honest, because this.
So one thing at a time. Why are you pleased?
I'm pleased because in the fundamentals, blockchain doesn't think of trusted third parties and one organization or institute in control, but of putting controls in peers and by the masters.
It's the community that governs itself.
And so in the fundamentals, it doesn't put one party over another party, and I think that's good. That's why I'm pleased. And I'm scared because digitization is taking over even more. And
you work on that on a daily basis?
I work on that on a daily basis.
Digitizing the government.
But even I cannot cope with what digitization is putting us through. And government has difficulties with that, but even more our citizens get more, our concepts divert very slow. We were brought up, and even our younger persons are brought up with a physical world, and this digital world is different in its fundamentals, and when even more, if digitalization even goes further, the gap between the actual individual persons and the concepts that they grow up with and that they meet in physical society grow apart from this digital world. And that digital world is becoming even more complicated.
So it's harder to find your own identity within this digital world?
It's harder as a person to know what you should be careful about, what you can trust without being careful about, what is dangerous and what is not dangerous. And in our physical world, we've been brought up with 10,000s of years of evolution, and this is going very, very fast. And we don't know what is dangerous and what is not dangerous. I don't know it, and I'm a specialist in this field. Let alone those other 60 million people in this country and 6 billion people on this world.
Yeah, so all the reason to maybe be scared, or at least be cautious. To find ways to hedge the risks that may lay ahead for a government.
Yes, because that is our role, to make sure that all the concepts that or digital movements that are taking place, that our society will cope with it, both socially, what I was referring about now, but also in our law, in our politics, in whatever makes our people and us happy, because basically that's what's important.
Yeah, we're also here to find specific social challenges that blockchain applications can help tackle. Is there a specific social challenge, policy issue that you deem most fit for blockchain applications to be addressed by?
Right now, I would say start small. But I, as a policy advisor, I'm thinking for the entire Dutch society and maybe even more. And for that kind of scale, I don't think blockchain and is ready yet. But what I really advocate is experimenting in a smaller scale. And our National Institute of Personal Data, that is also part of this ministry, is doing a lot of experimentations on pensions, for instance, how to use identity with the people in pension and pension takers to make sure that that we are really dealing with the persons that we think we are dealing with. And that is the scale where I think we should experiment with blockchain now. That will not come up with a solution that will work nationwide. That's not a big issue right now. We have to learn not only in how to make such a system actually work, but also in what is needed in its context to make it a trustworthy system, to make it a safe system, and a system where people feel safe.
Yeah. And if blockchain technology is to take over the role of some trusted third parties, then we need to trust the system of blockchain in itself.
For me, blockchain is not really the thing. I'm thinking in the digitalization of the world, and blockchain is part of that. But I'm not really interested if it will be blockchain or the next big thing. We need in digital society a solution for digital identity, because in the physical world we trust each other by looking each other in the eyes,
or in the wallet.
Or in the wallet, and that's why we have trust. But if we're in a digital world, I'm not seeing the one that I'm dealing with. I'm not sure who he is, but I'm not even sure if I'm talking to the same person now than last time, even if he says it's the same. Yeah. And so the
identity is less fixed.
It's less fixed, but when we want to have trust in our interactions, we really have to trust that we're talking to the same person, and that we can trust that person. And when we don't see it, when that person can be on the other side of the world, but also in the chamber next doors, and so that gives new kind of challenges that we hadn't in the physical world.
Yeah, we want to make sure that the people whom we're dealing with, engaging in transactions with, are the people they claim they are to be.
Yes, and also that is the same person this time as it was the last time when I did business with him, when not seeing him. And typically, I have never seen them before. And how can I put trust in that?
And how come, if we focus on the blockchain technology specifically, because that's what we're here for,
Yes.
How come that putting identity on blockchain is so difficult?
I don't think that putting identity on blockchain is more difficult than having a good identity in any other digital environment. The reason that I'm very interested in blockchain right now is that one, blockchain deals with trust in a fundamentally different way than any other technique before. And secondly, because there's a lot of interest in blockchain, there's a lot of expertise and brains around this area that I need to address and need to connect to not only see how we can do this in an engineering way, but also what problems and questions we encounter when we are really trying to operationalize this.
Yeah, exactly. These are the two perspectives you tend to take as well.
Yeah.
Being a civil engineer and a civil servant right now.
Yes.
And at this specific Ministry of Interior and Kingdom Relations, what perspectives do you see for blockchain technology or applications?
There are two main things, I think. One is democracy. Voting.
We have elections coming up.
Yeah, now elections is a bit of a typical thing right now because we're tending to de-digitalize elections right now.
Getting back to the red pencil.
Back to the red pencil, but democracy is not only elections; it's also interacting with people, and you can do that physically in a room, but you can also do that in a digital way, and also then blockchain is a thing. How do we interact on a digital platform and know who is there and who is saying what, and that it's not somebody taking over? That's one. The other one, and that's more in the line of work that I'm dealing with, travel documents. That's one of the identity data.
Passports or
passports and identity data. That is a responsibility of this ministry, and blockchain can really change that. And like I just said in my presentation, travel documents, I go abroad on a physical level a couple of times per year max. But in the digital world, I go abroad a few times per day.
Yeah, you've probably been so during this interview.
Yes,
already.
Probably, yes. So where our passport is meant for traveling and identifying when traveling, but now only in a physical way, I think it should go to a situation where I can also use it when I'm traveling abroad digitally. But that is a really different concept and on a different scale than with physical travel. And that's something to explore.
These travel documents typically include the information that other governments need or want to know about citizens before letting them into their countries.
Yes.
How would that work under a blockchain application, for instance?
Not very different than from a physical passport, I would say. The only thing, how can we make sure that there is as much trust in that blockchain solution for identity as there is in the passport. Yeah. And that's difficult because the trust in that passport has been evolved in 5 centuries. We don't even know where the trust really comes from. Trust is very intangible, but it also comes from governments stating that when you get to the passport, that's this person is, we know him and he can travel, etc. In the digital world, we don't have this yet.
Might blockchain change the governmental role as a steward of identity then?
Yes, that might. I'm not sure about that. I'm open to it, but also open for the responsibility of government for its people.
The responsibility that is shown through accepting and granting these travel documents currently, or
or broader. We as a government have been instated to make sure that our society, our citizens, can live happily here and with judicial law and that kind of stuff. And that is our main responsibility. And if an identity is also key in that right now. And if in a digital world our position has to be different than in the traditional one, I'm open for it as long as we can keep this main objective of government up and standing.
Yeah, serving society.
Serving society, yes.
Yeah, so the claim of certain blockchangers to co-create the next operating system for society appeals to you?
I think they're overestimating themselves.
How?
You know, it might sound negative. I think it's a very good ambition, and they should strive for it. We should strive for it. But there are so many aspects of an operating system, especially the human factor, that I see less advocated here with techies.
Yeah.
That are
on a
also
hackathon.
On a hackathon, which are also part of the real societal operating system that make different complications appear. Yeah. They can, from an engineering perspective, get a whole way, but they will not get the entire operational system. And then
so it's the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, and then other kind of specialties come in to make it a real society, and that will be an exploration.
Yeah, an exploration you will follow closely, I presume.
Yes, of course. Yes, I'm very interested in it.
Very practically, you can do that during the Blockchaingers Hackathon in early April.
Yes.
That will be organized in Groningen.
I know.
You will be part of that?
I'm not sure yet. I'm sure a few of my colleagues will.
Yes. As a ministry, you will be.
As a ministry, we will be part of it. I'm very curious what will come out of it, and especially how the subject of identity will be part of that hackathon. Yeah. And that will make me decide if I'll come personally or not.
What do you hope? What will come out of it?
I hope that and that I've been challenging the room for it, that they will come up with use cases which also will deal in some way or another with the social aspect of trust, and not only the rational part of trust. I know they can deal with the rational and the technical part of trust, but also keeping in the human factor. The humans are typically the weakest link in digitization. And I
hope that all too well as an information manager.
Yes,
having worked for the government for a couple of decades.
Yeah, but it's also not only in the government. In any system, the human is the weakest link in any system that you design, and that's not. And the way that I say it this way is because you're working the other way around. The humans are not there for the system. The system should be there for the humans. And
amen.
Amen.
Okay, thank you very much for being here. Also physically present. It's definitely you, Anton van Weel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.